After I became a mother close to 2.5 years ago, taking care of myself was not really a priority for me anymore. I was in and out of survival mode through 2 pregnancies and postpartum as well, but a few months ago, I felt really burnt out and I never want to experience that again. That forced me to start taking care of myself more seriously and helped me realize that if I want to become the mother, the wife, and the homemaker that I envisioned in my head, I needed to get new habits right now. Here are the 12 things that I started doing that helped me come out of survival mode. The first thing that I started doing, and probably the most influential thing, was having alone time with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala early in the morning, first thing in the morning. There are a few things more jarring than being woken up by a crying baby and then starting the day cold turkey. So I've started waking up before everybody else so that I can start the day on my own terms. But more important than waking up early is what you do with that time. There is no better way to start the day than to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, talk to him about your problems, pray for you and your loved ones. There's just so much peace that comes into your heart at that time, and solutions to problems that you've been having, they just come to you. It really does not need to be complicated. The 3 things I like to focus on are tahajjud, fajr, and reading my Quran. But I always take into consideration what season of life I'm in. If I'm in a difficult stage of pregnancy, or if I'm freshly postpartum, if I've been up all night with a sick toddler or breastfeeding a newborn, waking up 2 hours before my kids is just not something that I think about. But in those tough seasons, even if it's just getting up 5 minutes before everyone else and all I got to do was just brush my teeth and make a quick dua, that helps a lot as well. With babies younger than 1, their wake up times can be a little bit more unpredictable for you to decide how much earlier you should wake up. So I find that this is where patience training comes in. Basically, if they wake up and they're in their crib and they're not crying, they're content, it's okay to leave them there for a few minutes so that you can go use the bathroom uninterrupted or drink a cup of coffee if that's your thing. My toddler still sleeps in a crib, so it's not like when she wakes up she can immediately come get me, but I know eventually she's gonna sleep in a bed with no railing and she's gonna be able to come out of her room. So at that time I do plan on training her to stay in her bed until mama says it's okay to come out. The next thing I started doing is to have buffer days built into my weeks. Before I did this, every single day of my week had an important task scheduled on it, which didn't allow much for flexibility. And every single week I fell behind and I felt defeated. It was extremely unrealistic for me to think that I wouldn't miss a single day and life wouldn't happen and I wouldn't get derailed. But I quickly learned that that was a very unhealthy mindset to have. So now I have 2 built-in buffer days into my week, and I just let them kind of fall naturally to where there's usually kind of a chaotic few days and then I would need like a reset day or a buffer day. For example, Mondays are one of my buffer days, and it's because usually weekends kind of plans change last minute. We're usually out and about, so the house kind of gets neglected, all our tasks and to-do lists kind of get neglected. So I find that it's really helpful for me to have a buffer day or a catch-up day on Monday. The next thing I started doing is I started eating before everybody else. If you're a mom, you know that when you only have young children, meal times are very choppy. Maybe someone's crying, someone doesn't want to eat what's served, and you're constantly getting up to get something, and that's just the nature of it. Now, if you're someone without kids, I don't say this to scare you. It's just a stage and eventually it'll pass and you'll be able to have uninterrupted meals. And children are so teachable at this age, so it's just a stage and it will pass. But I realized that in order for me to handle all of this with patience and with grace, I needed to not be hungry and trying to feed myself at the same time. It's been working really well for me. Since I usually wake up before everybody else, it wasn't that hard to eat breakfast before everyone, and that meant I got hungry for lunch earlier than everybody else, and same goes for dinner. If you're not the type to have an appetite early in the morning, you can also do this by eating after everyone else so that during meal times you can just focus on the kids and not feeding yourself at the same time. The next one is child training. The way you raise your children can actually make or break your parenting experience. I want to actually enjoy being a parent and delight in my children, and that starts with how I raise them. Yes, I'm aware that there's always going to be challenges and there's various personalities, but the way I see it, there's 2 types of challenges. The challenges that come from just the natural stage of life that you're in, those are the unavoidable challenges, and then there's the unnecessary challenges, the challenges that are created by how you raise your children. And my goal is to minimize those unnecessary unnecessary challenges by training my children. My kids are still so young, but I've learned from older moms that there's still so much I can do in this stage. And I don't want to get complacent thinking, oh, they're so young, I'll worry about it in a few years, because I know at that time they'll already be used to doing things a certain way, they'll be more aware, they'll have more opinions. So it's just easier to start everything from the get-go. Child training is important first and foremost for their own safety. Let's say if you're walking outside and they're about to run into the street, if you tell them to stop, they need to be able to listen and immediately stop for their own safety. So that's where first time obedience training comes in. And there's a few other types of training that we're doing at the stage they're in: sleep training, patience and boredom training, quiet time training, and last but not least, mama goes to the bathroom alone training. So I mentioned quiet time earlier, and that's one of the key things that helps our day run smooth. This one is basically just one giant reset button, and no matter what type of morning you've had, quiet time is a chance to reset everyone's mood, including myself. How I do this with a toddler and a baby is basically I try to sync up at least one nap. My toddler has one nap a day, and my baby has two naps. So one of the naps of my baby is synced up with my toddler's nap, so that for 2 to 3 hours in the middle of the day, they're both napping at the same time. The next one is related to quiet time, which is I take a nap on days where I feel like I need it. When I first became a mom, I got that advice so much. Nap when your kids nap. Forget the dishes, forget the laundry, leave it all and nap when your baby naps. But I was genuinely confused as to when I was supposed to do all those things if I also napped when my baby napped. It still eventually needs to be done, right? Or am I missing something? So now I've learned that the way to make that advice more practical is 4 things. 1, learn how to do things while your kids are awake so that you can nap with them. 2, master the art of taking a quick power nap so that you can still nap and also get things done during nap time. 3, sometimes you actually do have to leave it all and prioritize taking a long nap on days where you feel like you need it, and that's okay. And D, have another baby so that they can entertain each other while you get things done. I do a combination of all of those things and it works so well. The next one is making time for my hobbies. I went through a phase of motherhood where I convinced myself that I would start worrying about my own personal extracurricular activities once my kids are a little bit older, but that resulted in me being severely burnt out a few months ago. Going through that helped me realize that making time for the things that I love, things that give me a creative outlet, things that give me something to look forward to in the short term, it's so important for me as a mother because motherhood is a long game. It's a long-term investment where you don't see the fruits of your labor until years, maybe even decades down the line. Which leads me to my next tip, is that I didn't actually have time for my hobbies until I stopped watching TV in the evenings. That is the hard truth. In theory, I had all these hobbies that I like to do, but I never actually found time to do any of them. Because think about it, all day I was taking care of the home, taking care of the kids, and then in the evening I was just sitting down to watch a show and maybe scroll mindlessly on my phone. And perhaps I might not have been in a season to wake up early in the morning to have time for myself. So when do I actually have time? So realistically speaking, the only uninterrupted block of time that I had to put into the things that I wanted to do was just the evenings. And if those evenings were taken up by watching TV, I literally had no other time to do them. This one was truly difficult to do because it was something I genuinely looked forward to at the end of every day. Just sit on the couch and watch a show with my husband. But I realized that it wasn't actually quality time when it was done mindlessly every single day. That was just an excuse. For years now, I've had this nagging feeling in my heart that there should be more to my days than just ending them watching TV. But it wasn't until I sincerely prayed about it and asked Allah for guidance and for a purpose to my evenings that something changed. I came across this YouTube video right here and it really made me think and take action. It turns out that becoming a parent wasn't why I didn't have any time for my hobbies. It was the screens. Now we each have more time for our self-development, for our hobbies, and for intentional quality time with each other where we're actually talking. All this in turn benefited us individually and then the family as a whole. Now we still watch a show, but we have a dedicated time of the week where we do that, and it's not just mindlessly happening every single evening. But you might be thinking, okay, now I have time in the evenings, but how do I have the energy to do anything in the evenings? And that was my biggest problem at the end of every day. All I could do after putting the kids to bed was just walk over to the couch and drop in exhaustion, and then maybe mindlessly scroll until it was time for bed. This was the case even before I had kids, so I literally can't even blame it on the fact that I became a parent. You're not gonna like what I have to say next because it's just so basic and so cliche, but what really helped my energy levels was my diet and exercise, and then having something to look forward to at the end of every day. Something that I genuinely loved doing, that even if I was tired, it would still rejuvenate me to think about doing that thing. And I find that the part of my brain that's a mom is what's tired. And as soon as I put the kids to bed, it's like my brain switches from mom mode to me mode. All of a sudden I have this second wind of energy and I'm actually excited to do whatever it is I had planned for that evening. When it comes to my diet, I found that what helped my energy levels was a few things that I read in this book right here. Basically, the order in which you eat things matters. If you have any protein or vegetables, eat those first before eating the carbs to minimize a spike and then a crash. If there's something sweet to be eaten, eat it right after a meal as opposed to eating it as a snack, which causes a massive spike and then a massive crash. And exercise is just so obvious. It's been said so many times. I'm sure you can find 1,000,001 YouTube videos talking about how exercise helps your energy levels. I do eventually want to make a separate video about energy management as a mother because I believe that's one of the most important things you can do. It's so important in every aspect of life, not just motherhood. The next one is related to exercise, but more specifically, going to a group workout class at the gym. Because before I did this, I was never really consistent with exercising. I would start, maybe go for a few weeks, a few months, and then stop. And that was the story of my life. But now, this is the most consistent I've ever been with regards to exercise. And I believe it's because I started going to a group workout class, and also because my motivation behind exercising had changed. Before, it was kind of purely for aesthetics. It was to lose weight and to look a certain way. While there's nothing wrong with those things and those are important things, they weren't a strong enough motivation for me to stay consistent. But now my motivation, in addition to that, I want to be strong for my kids. I want to be healthy for my kids. And those two things, going to a group workout class and having better motivation, was what kept me consistent this time around. So going back to the group workout class, I would always work out at home. I had a few dumbbells. We recently got a treadmill. I had all the things that I needed to get a good workout at home. But the problem was that is I kept getting distracted at home. I would be working out and I think, oh, I'm just gonna quickly do this thing and come back and do my workout. Or if I felt tired, I wouldn't push myself. I would just take a break and then maybe come back to it a little later. I wasn't getting a good workout every single time. I had to rely on my own mind to push me through a workout, and a half-hour workout would feel like forever. Going to a workout class 3 to 4 times a week has been really beneficial for me because when you're surrounded by people giving it their all, you have no choice but to do the same. And the instructors are always walking around and telling you to push through and you got this. And they're so encouraging that an hour would pass by and it would feel like no time at all. All I had to do was just decide on what workout class to do and just show up. And I'm pretty much guaranteed to have a good workout every single time. It took the guesswork out of working out because I didn't have to decide what exercise to do. I didn't have to go find a YouTube video and potentially end up getting distracted by scrolling on YouTube shorts. Been there, done that. The mental energy required to push myself through a workout at home was just much higher than in a group workout class. This one was another really difficult thing for me to do because I am such a homebody and I don't like leaving the house. But oddly enough, leaving the house on a regular basis has actually been really good for my mental health as well. The next one that really helped me in this season of life, meal prepping breakfast ahead of time. On days where you need extra sleep in the morning or you just don't feel like cooking first thing in the morning, it's so helpful to have breakfast in the fridge or the freezer that you can quickly pull out and feed everyone from. It's been such a lifesaver and it really helps slow down my mornings. And the final one is I embraced the repetitive, mundane tasks. If you're a mom, you know that homemaking tasks are so repetitive, which is actually not a bad thing because when things are repetitive, it means you can start automating them and it takes less and less thinking for you to do it. One way I did this is by making a list of all the things that I do on a regular basis. And I just wrote them down on a calendar so that when I wake up that day, I don't even have to think, what am I gonna do? Because it's already there. And I have a natural rhythm to my days now. For example, I know after breakfast, we usually clean up breakfast and then immediately start laundry. And I don't even have to think about laundry anymore. Even though we do more laundry than ever before, it feels like such an easy thing now. Whereas before, when it was just me and my husband, I was doing laundry once a week or maybe once every 10 days, and it felt like such a chore. And if it requires less thinking from you, it means you can reserve your mental energy for other things that are new, for things that you actually enjoy doing. I really hope at least one of these tips helps you, inshallah. And please comment down below any other tips that you have that helped you come out of survival mode in whatever stage of life you were in, that you feel like really helped your day-to-day, so that we can all benefit from it, inshallah. I'll see you in my next video. Assalamu alaikum.